This week I had the opportunity to play the latest build of Planet Coaster 2, and in that got to play with every coaster in this current version of the game, including ones that had turntables, drop tracks, switch tracks, tilt tracks, everything. I went through the list of all the coasters that are in this current version of the game, and looked in detail at all of the new coasters that we didn't have in Planet Coaster 1. I'll also add in at the end a quick look at the transport rides and flat rides that are in the game too. Let's get into a rundown of all of the coasters in the latest build of Planet Coaster 2. I had a fantastic time looking at all of these coasters, but there's a few things I want to mention before we begin. If I don't show an image from the coaster, it means either nothing's changed from when it's been ported over from Planet Coaster 1, or it's had very minor changes and the actual track building experience is exactly the same. And I also hope that in the final game these coaster icon images get changed, because I really don't like the look of them. Something a lot simpler that isn't as so zoomed in that shows the zero car on the track would be perfect, kind of like this. Our first manufacturer we have is Max, which is our Intamin coasters in the game, and we've got some insane ones here. First we have the Intamin Accelerator and Intamin Hydraulic Launch coasters returning from Planet Coaster 1. Then we have the returning Intamin Impulse coaster, and back again we have the Intamin Wing coaster and the classic 4-seater sit-down coaster. But here's where it starts to get insane. We have the two Intamin Multiverse coasters. Firstly we have the friction wheel one, similar to 13 at Alton Towers. This coaster lets you do wild things such as drop tracks, switch tracks, tilt tracks, omnidirectional movement tracks, turntables. I already have a whole video on this on my channel, so please go and check that out after this if you're interested. Then we have the Multiverse LSM coaster, which is basically the Intamin multi-dimensional coaster. This thing's so cool. It has a few of the elements I mentioned before, and you can control the rotation on it as well. It's so cool. I have to say the integration of these two coasters into the game and their elements seems really well done. I'm loving the way that it all looks. And if you want to see gameplay of me playing with both of these different coasters, I have my gameplay video of the event and the drop tracks, switch tracks and tilt tracks video I mentioned earlier already out on the channel now. They'll be listed in the description. We do now also really need a modern gen Intamin Blitz coaster. I either hope this comes with the launch of the game or as a DLC soon after the game's launch. Next up we have Vector, or as we know them, Vekoma, and they have so many coasters in this game, including a nice surprise addition. Firstly we have the returning Vekoma Boomerang, although this shows an image of an arrow boomerang for some reason. Next we have the returning giant inverted boomerang, which definitely needs a new cover photo. The Vekoma Looper is back. Then under a different manufacturer called Movement Construction, we have the returning Vekoma Mine Train, and also coming back with it is the Vekoma Swinging Mine Train. And the first of our new Vekomas is the old gen Vekoma Tilt Coaster. This is so cool. I had a quick go with this in my gameplay run through video, but it was such a cool element to like place down and then see actually work in game. It's so cool. I really do hope they do a modern version of this as well. I don't think it'd be too difficult because all they have to do would be reskin the track, but that would be such a cool coaster to have in the game. And then finally we have a modern Vekoma LSM launch coaster. This is so cool to actually finally have it in the game. I believe this is based off of the Top Gun model given the trains, but obviously these can now be easily reskinnable with attachable items onto ride cars. I can't wait to play with this more once the full game releases, and it also has probably one of the best sounding launches ever in a game. Listen to this. Next we have our aerodynamics coasters, or as they're known in this game, Dark Kinetics. Firstly we have the return of the classic Arrow Looping coaster. We technically have the Arrow Boomerang, and also returning is the classic Arrow 6-seater sit down. Next up, known as Valet and Nidvarden, we have our B&M coasters. Firstly I'm going to start off with the newest. We have the Wave coaster. I was so excited to be able to try this in our gameplay. Like I said before, you can watch my gameplay video to actually show me building one of these coasters, and it was really fun to do it. The coaster felt very smooth and easy to use. Now for all the returning classics, we have the B&M stand-up coaster, the B&M dive coaster, the Hyper and Giga coaster called the sit-down lap bar, the Wing coaster, although this was only the chain lift variant, the sit-down coaster, along with the Flawless. Then we have the classic inverted coaster, and last but not least, the flying coaster. Then for Giovanni, or as we know them, Giovanola, turning we have the 2-seater invert and the 6-seater sit-down. Next up, called Jerry St. Lauer, we have our Gerstlauers. Returning we have the Gerstlauer Eurofighter, and also back is the Gerstlauer Infinity coaster. Then we have the dragon-themed Zero Junior coaster returning. I really hope we get some more plain ones of these. Next we have the Premium Rides launched LSM coaster, or as we know it, the Premier Rides Skyrocket 2 is returning. Next we have all of our coasters from Big M Rides, or as we know them as Mac Rides. Firstly, we have the Mack family spinner coming back. Unfortunately, no signs of an extreme spinner yet, and also the Mack multi-launch is back. Then we have the brand new splash coaster. The predominant feature of this ride being that it can utilize turntables. This is a really cool feature. Again, check out my gameplay video listed below this where I actually show how to build one of these. And then we also have the classic Mack Rides water coaster returning from Planet Coaster 1. Next up, we have Mara rides known as Murphy and Son or Murphy rides. Returning, we get the Mara Skyloop as well as the Mara spinner. We then have the PTC wooden coaster called Kingdom Isle Wooden returning, along with the Great Coasters Worldwide coaster, which is our GCI Great Coasters International Woody. Next up, we have the brand new F&N Thrill Industries Antique Water Coaster. This E&F Miler water coaster looks great, and I've actually got gameplay of it in that video as well if you want to see me build one. Next, we have the F&F International Crazy Mouse, which is the returning SNS El Loco, along with a brand new coaster called the F&F International Launched Pneumatic Coaster, which is actually the SNS Air Launched coaster. Again, you can see me building one of these in my gameplay video, but it's great to have such a unique and niche coaster in the game too. We also have the returning Anton Looping Shuttle, which is the Schwarzkopf Shuttle Loop coaster. Then I know a few people were worried, but RMC is back in Planet Coaster 2. Firstly, we have the wooden hybrid steel coaster, which is our RMC iBox track. Then we have our RMC Topper track, which is actually running a gravity group train, so I guess you could say it's both. Then we have the single rail 2 across seating RMC again. I really hope that we'd get the single rail 1 across seating too, especially because that model is one of the most highly requested ones amongst the community. We also have the Pearl Ride Spinning Wild Mouse, which looks to be either a Fabry or Zamperla. And finally, we have the Dark Kinetics X Dimension coaster, which is the Arrow or SNS 4th Dimension coaster. Onto the flat rides now, and there is absolutely loads, which is great to see. I'm not going to go through and explicitly name all of these because I'm a lot less confident with flat ride manufacturers than I am with coaster manufacturers. But I have to say it's great to see so many new flat rides in the game, and even the ones that have been ported over from Planet Coaster 1 do look a lot more bland and simple, which is great because this means we can theme them up to look like whatever we want to, which is fantastic. The highlights for me are the new addition of the Zamperla Nebula and also the Zamperla Disco as well, which is great to see, especially with it being so bland. We can theme it to whatever we like, which really wasn't an option in Planet Coaster 1. And if we assume that this isn't the final build of the game, it's already very impressive, the actual volume of coasters and flat rides and attractions in general that are already here. Also, it's the same case for the tracked and transport rides as well. It's great to see loads of classics returning from Planet Coaster 1 that have been reskinned as well, but also loads of new ones. The family train ride has to be my favourite out of these. It's so cute and I can't wait to put it in one of my parks. And that about does it for every coaster, transport and flat ride that's in this current build of Planet Coaster 2. Also, at the end of the trailer, they mentioned some of the deluxe edition bonuses. Among these is a great collection of flat rides, along with a classic wooden coaster, an antique powered car ride, the wooden Wild Mouse and the wooden side friction coaster, along with the Intamin water coaster, which is great to see. We're getting so many water coasters in this game. And also what looks to be an Omnimover style dark ride. I'm doing a live stream this Saturday on YouTube, so if you've got any questions about Planet Coaster 2, come along. I'll be building a cool coaster along with answering any of the questions you might have about this upcoming game. I've also just released another 2 videos today, which are on your screen now. Definitely give those a watch if you want to learn all you can about this new game. Please drop the video a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you like this kind of content. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers and it would mean the world if you could help me get there. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.